Start. Hello, everybody. This is the IOTA Shimmer Community Governance Call. It's Thursday, the 17th of August, middle of summer holidays. So extra bonus points for anyone that found the way into our meeting today, even if it would be likely nicer to sit on somewhere on the lake. But we have, of course, as always, important topics to discuss. We are moving nicely forward towards being ready to put up a proposal for the update of the treasury specifications and include basically the IOTA treasury into the existing grant committee and the Tangle Treasury DAO. So I think we have done some really good work over the last weeks here. JD has now the doc in which he's basically working and adding the comments that we figured out here over the meetings, and I'll basically just likely share my screen so everybody will be able to see it. Let me share this and that. And so I just went through the last revision today. I left quite a lot of comments, but mostly is just about form and wording things. Because actually, we just figured out that we have done this thing now kind of a year ago, and it's really good to read it again because now you feel like, okay, there are some phrases. It's better to phrase them differently. It's just sounds off in some points, and so I think if we do an overwork and an overdo of the whole thing, then it just really makes sense to also correct some of the spelling things and make it a better phrased and nicer framework at all. Maybe we just go through some of the things. So yeah, that's you put a nice image here, but sadly it's too small. So we will have to figure out how we get this readable. Then it starts. This is actually a point I wanted to ask. It starts with definitions, which is a great thing because I think it's important to have these definitions in. My question would be if it would make more sense to put these definitions under the specification point instead of having it as a separate point. Because from my point of view, so what we usually put into the wiki, I know you put all this in the GitHub for the Treasury DAO, but in the wiki for people, what we usually only put there is the point specification, because this is actually everything how the thing should operate. Maybe it would make more sense to include the definitions as just a sub point 3.1 or 3.5 or something like this of the specification, so it will be visible in the wiki for everyone. That was just an idea. I don't know what people think or if it makes sense or if it's better to have it as a separate point like here. It's good to have it in the beginning, yeah, as always, define the things first, but maybe it just for usability things may be easier to put it into the point 3.
Yeah. I mean, for me, and that's just coming from kind of oil and gas engineer technical documents, usually the definitions kind of come first in their own point, but to have it mesh good with the Wikipedia, we can easily add it in the specification as like,
because Wiki will also not show this part here, so the point 1 and this thing. These are stuff that are legally required for the Marshall Island DAO thing, but for the pure operation of the grant program thing that we'll host in Wiki, we usually don't host those things. But it was just a suggestion. It doesn't matter in the end. If we can also then put this in the Wiki as a point 2, in the end, it doesn't matter. No.
Or it doesn't even need to go in the wiki, really. But yeah, whatever you got, whatever you feel is best.
It will always be in the wiki because for the community, the place to find information is the wiki. They won't look into the Tangle Treasury GitHub. Nobody likely knows that it
Sure.
even exists. So it's yeah.
Right.
Um, this was a question. Yeah, definitely we should define this. I just feel like defining the IOTA community just as holders of IOTA tokens might, for some people, be a kind of a no, even if I'm still part of the community. So my suggestion would maybe be to call those IOTA voters,
Okay.
because
Yep.
they will be the ones that will be allowed to vote. I don't haven't checked if it fits in all wordings throughout the proposal, but might be might fit. So I might avoid confusions. But it's also just a suggestion. Don't know if it makes sense. It's also not something that kind of is super important. Just maybe something that may make it clearer who we are
Maybe
speaking about here.
write something like in the specification, the IOTA stating community
Yeah,
just
yeah,
designates those who have voting rights
yeah.
through owning tokens
Yeah,
or
maybe
something
put
like that.
put put something like a yeah in the context of this document, IOTA community refers to everybody that holds IOTA tokens, something like this. Uh,
Okay.
then it fits, and you still can say IOTA community, which is just a nicer word. Yeah. Next stuff, here, most of the things, like I said, I added some wordings here and there to have it sound better. Purpose bound, and beyond the term, treasury. Okay, this is delete. This is a double stuff. This is just some wording things. Shimmer community the same as above. Here, yeah, this is something I added. Here you write the Shimmer community treasury means the Shimmer tokens minted during the network's initial launch that was designated and managed by the Shimmer community. Uh, is somehow correct, but I think maybe it's better because from this initial minting, already a lot of tokens have been moved in all kind of other directions. So somebody
Mm,
could falsely think that it's still the whole thing that was there at network launch. So I would suggest we say all currently not yet purpose bound and therefore unallocated assets that remain from the initial created supply that belong to the Shimmer community holders. Which has been 181 million Shimmer tokens, but basically it's just the leftover, which is currently unused, yeah, which is still sitting
mm,
in the
mm.
pot.
Right. Right. Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's clearer somehow. And
Okay.
let me think. I was thinking, but the definition for the IOTA community treasury is still fully correct. This is because there has, I mean, it's still the full pot of tokens. Nothing has been moved away from there, so I think this fits very well. Um, Okay, so these are still the definitions. Then you come over to the specification. The mission is the same stuff like before. Um, then we had a sentence here that I just think is kind of, I know you wanted to say that this is just an interim solution in case with the next vote something should be changed or something. I would I would remove it because it just basically hints to something that could happen in the future. I don't see a need to clarify it now. Yeah, like I wrote here, with this proposal, if it's voted in, we create a new status quo. That means both communities share one grant committee under one Tangle LLC in the Marshall Islands, and that's how it's going to operate, as long as nobody puts up a proposal to change it again. No? So,
Right. Right.
yeah. Mm. And here I know you clarified this last week. We talked about that, and I think it's really good now because it's clear here now that those are the responsibilities that the program lead has that are specific to the Tangle to the operation of the LLC. Yeah, so stuff like making, signing things, and ensure that all legal documents are kept in place, and all those things, tracking of things, and signing and acting as the agent for the Tangeldao LLC. That's great to have this separated from the tasks that the lead has in facilitating the grant program. Basically, being the lead of the grant reviewers and doing the daily work in the grant program, which is defined in the next point. Yeah, I just think, yeah, there's one point that is already part of this above, so this you could even delete this here. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, then we have a sentence here. Okay, when the triangle treasury scales and there are two separate distinct committees, they invoice the hours they incur. Just maybe read it again at home. For me, it sounds, I don't know, strange.
Why is it by week?
They invoice the hours
Yeah,
they
I think
incur.
it's like it's just to say that each meeting they invoice, but because like in the time being until there's separate committees, we'll essentially just split the hours
Yeah,
50-50 basically.
yeah,
So I'll just take it out because I think when the future things scale and there's
yeah. And also
if the
this,
community.
yeah, this is
Mhm.
explained several times also later again in all the things again with the invoicing. So maybe, yeah, I can take it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, remove. Hopefully, until we have this thing going, we will finally get some
I
documents
know.
from this little island far, far away behind the big ocean.
They did say supposedly they had a discussion with the government official yesterday, and things are looking positive. But
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
I think that
soonish.
yeah, exactly soon,
I
soon.
think I think IOTA and the Marshall Islands now we really fit very well together. Yeah, we have a kind of a
I do.
similar mindset.
Yeah.
Uh, this is also something that I managed the Tangeldao LLC consultant in. I I didn't understand what you mean here. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. Just read it
I'll
and
have to reread
figure
it.
out.
I think it was a bit
Yeah,
tight.
yeah. Yeah, this was just something I always, when I see such big documents, I always think about, okay, what can we shorten? Um, I don't know. I know maybe this isn't good information that the salary was approved in the last governance vote, which basically approved the whole framework. Um, I don't know if it's necessary to have it there as a, okay, as a
Mm.
justification why these 70 hours are here. Um, but maybe we can just also just leave it out because this is what the people will see, what they will vote on. If they approve it, then automatically all this is approved. Um, I
I
don't
think you're right.
I don't think we need to highlight a justification for this
Daylight justice.
because it's nothing out of the ordinary and it's highly deserved. So yeah. No.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Then the stuff. Yeah, this is what I said. With the paid vacation and the national holidays, I would
Yeah.
just
Take that out.
remove it. It's more, it could lead to problems with employment or with kind of fake employment things, which it clearly not is. It's a contractor and they are responsible for their own yeah, vacation planning and things like this. Yeah, maybe it's again something that we can just shorten out, not something that needs to be part of the specification. It's anyway part of the contract then, so yeah,
Hmm.
likely good.
Hmm.
Then these are the responsibilities of the grant reviewers. Also, I think all pretty cool. Same with this sentence, like the one for the lead. Um, What else then? We
Yeah.
have um, the term. Um, this is actually also good. I think you reworked this section again a bit. Um, basically describes that there will be this annual vote. I started later on, I started putting basically fixed dates in, which may be a good thing. I think we can define actually the period when the term ends always as 31st March of every year, because we signed the contracts with you guys on 2nd of April or something like this. And
Mm-hmm.
we had the result on 29th or something. So maybe it will make sense, so that it's maybe better for people to have such a fixed date in their mind. They all know, okay, end of December or 1st of April, there will be a new term starting, a new committee period start to run. Uh, maybe it's better to have such a fixed date.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and think I added in there, which we noticed looking back in hindsight, like there wasn't anything that said a vote must be initiated. So, like, what would happen if a vote
Mm,
wasn't initiated by the community? And so I think I put in there that basically the program lead and the co-lead have to initiate,
yeah.
what is it, 8 weeks before
Yeah.
for the community to approve another year and start
Yes.
elections. The only thing I was kind of thinking was if there's some way to align it on the 1st of January. Um, so then Q1, Q2, Q3,
Mm.
Q4, you know.
Then you would have
But
all the voting in December and the
I
things.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. And that would be good.
It's of
Yeah, that's a
course
good point.
it sounds cool. It's nicer to say, okay, it's like Q1 2024 until Q4 but yeah, uh, it you would have to do all the stuff in December, November, December during the holidays. Meh, not a good time for this, I think. I'd rather do it than during, but also if you want to start it on 1st of July, it's the same thing. You get into, it would be better than do it on 1st of January. It's holidays usually start a little bit later. Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, at least April 1st is like the first day of the quarter. It's
yeah,
not like mid-quarter. So
yeah,
that does work too.
yeah. I think it's good. Um, okay, then this is stuff that we always had. Yeah, so they might replace members. Most of the thing is all the same stuff that we had already in it. Requirements for the community members. This is also most of the things. Also, we discussed most of this already last week. Um, we have a selection process. This is the IOTA. I just thought about maybe we'll just combine, or we just basically rename the existing process and all. I don't want to make a separate document just for IOTA. First of all, just combine it and call it IOTA Shimmer or Tangle Committee Selection Process or something like this.
Okay.
Um, this was just a question. Maybe, I think we talked last or 2 or 3 weeks ago, we talked about the potential way for deciding
Hmm.
which RFPs the committee should bring up. So basically, once there is a period where not much grants come in, or the committee sees certain needs for potential funding proposals, but they are not coming. Um, Here currently you put up that it's solely based on the opinions and on the committee. But I think we talked about it might be fun to have something where the community can get involved and choose what they want to fund. I think this is still possible to do. So maybe it's not something that needs to be fixed in the framework. So basically, the committee can just anyway just do it. Um,
Yeah, I think think it might be good to. I definitely think that's the way to do it. I whole
Yeah.
agree with that, and I think maybe that's what I was doing. Of just like, do we want to restrict it to
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Because if there's
Once it's in the specification, then it's kind of a must do it thing.
right,
Um,
like if there's no participation and no voting, then what
yeah.
happens? You
Then there's also
know?
no RFP, and then it's like stuck in not. It's a good point. Maybe just really do it if it seems something cool and the community is happy with it. If nothing really comes in there, then still just put up an RFP when it's necessary. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Guiding principles. Diddle, diddle, dit. This is also, I think, all the same. Uh, Funding priorities. I really like it that we have separated now with the IOTA funding priorities that are a little bit different from, or basically the target areas are a little bit different than the Shimmer target areas, which makes sense because we'll likely have a little bit different users and use cases on both networks. The application and approval process. This was something this here I know we wanted always to be this super quick
Oh yeah,
funding
yeah,
thing, but we can't keep up with this promise
yeah.
here
No,
currently.
no, yeah,
So it would just basically it would just potentially create issues that people basically yeah complain that they're not getting paid too quick. So I would just remove this thing. Yeah. Um,
yeah.
which it's it was a nice intention, but reality has shown that not everything always, even in crypto with our super fast network, you still need people pushing some buttons until things happen. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tiers, all cool. Can all keep it like it is, I think. Um, yeah, then putting the document. This is also some additions that you put into following basically the flow and the work you are doing, how you are operating currently. It's really good to see all these little additions coming into the framework that are based on the work and the daily experience that you gather. Um, there was something I would just keep it at digital autonomy. Verifiable data is not an official
Okay.
target
Okay.
objective thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Digital autonomy for anyone that's the logo, that's the thing. Data verifiable, yeah, also important, but maybe not necessary to put it here as a requirement. This is also still the same. Yeah, then the grant acceptance contract criteria things. Um, The committee shall have all grant receivers sign a grant receiver agreement for approved grants before funding. This is what you have worked out with Paolo, yeah? Um,
Committees shall
and
have grant receivers contract. Yes.
yeah,
So there's a tier one contract and a
yeah,
tier two contract,
yeah,
which this mainly serves as it protects the LLC. Uh, in the sense of if we
yeah,
give funding to someone, then they can't go and use it for illegal
yes,
terrorist activities or whatever.
yeah,
Um, and it basically says, hey, we're giving it to you for the grant specification that you've submitted to complete. And then it also has a lot of stuff of like Taylor, can you? Sorry. Uh,
yeah. So it's
it
basically
also has
a,
it also
a
has stuff
basic
that
contract.
basically
Yeah,
we can audit, like we can ask to say,
yeah,
hey, can you show us what you spent the money on? and
yeah,
and I think that's something we never really talked about, but I think is important, so that um, we need to be able to audit them in
yeah,
certain circumstances to then give the
yeah,
milestone payment. And that's probably the last thing the contract really does, is it says, hey, we can deny payments if you haven't met the milestone
Yeah.
deliverable, rather than
Or
someone
you,
saying, "Oh
or
no, the
you,
grant said you're going
yeah,
to give me the money
yeah,
no matter what."
or you
Yeah,
refuse to deliver information for what you actually have spent the funds. Yeah,
cor-
yeah,
correct,
that's
correct,
actually pretty important and really good to have this in a contract, because then it's kind of enforceable, and brings you in a much better legal position if any time anything would or should go wrong. Um,
correct, correct.
yeah, this here we talked about this.
Mm,
Rephrase it so it may be easier to understand. Here I made a
yep.
comment. Yeah. At no time shall the grant be designed in a way then illegal activity. Why did I add this comment here? Will always be public. I think this was wrong. Um, I didn't want. I meant something different, but now it's about the grant acceptance thing. I don't think it should or it needs to be public, those contracts actually. Or are you planning to publish them? No, not really. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm a firm believer of 100% transparency, but I would never publicize anything that is like personal information.
Mm,
But let's say, the one grant that really we've done that has somewhat terms is like the Soon grant, and so within the grant, the terms would be shown. Um, hey, we're providing. Let's say we did a loan because someone doesn't have liquidity until they launch. Um, we would the loan terms would be provided within the public grant, but
yeah.
the actual contract itself would be private in our um,
Yeah.
online storage, private storage space, just because it's personal information and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, cool.
Hmm.
That's cool. The grant transparency is also a good point. All transparent on the website. Visible once they are under review, and the completion is visible once the review is basically finished. So then here we come to the idle community treasury funds. I mean, we also talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago already.
Hmm.
Um, really good way of basically using funds that are currently unused. I just made some comments, I think, um, to make it clearer what is meant with idle. I think for some people don't know what idle means sometimes. Um, that's just some basic wording things. The investment responsibilities. Here, this is sometimes just a small one, but here it says the IOTA community shall manage. I would
Right.
suggest to say can, because shall
Right.
basically means you have to.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yes. And
yeah.
and we don't. It's almost like we can manage up
Can,
to a
yeah,
maximum of
up to
33%. Yeah.
33. If there is no
But we
cool
don't have.
opportunity, no, but then don't feel forced because there's written shall uh, to
Right.
put it somewhere where it's like, it's just sometimes it's just these small words that would theoretically make a difference.
Right.
Yeah. It's a really good write-up of how this whole thing will have to be set up, how it will be facilitated, how transparent this whole thing is. One question here I had, or maybe some suggestion, what would be possible. So you say they will assign an investing manager. The question would be, what are the tasks of an investment manager? What does he have to do, or he or she? Are there specific tasks of observation, of monitoring, of reporting, or something like this? Might be good to put an extra point up of what includes the tasks for this
Mm-hmm.
investing manager. Yeah, maybe good to have this in here so it's clearer for everybody. Also, they understand what those people are doing. Of course, it's really good. Somewhere you put it down there, you put the thing that you are no certified financial professional or analyst. So yes, you're not basically a trained Wall Street trader or whatever. Um, but everything is done to the best abilities, and the committee will always vote and do such things in agreements on the committee, and it's not something that somebody single-handedly decides. Oh, now let's take 10 million Shimmer tokens and just put it here into this meme coin. Um, yeah, so it's always going to be a thing that the whole committee talks about and makes a
Majority
majority
vote.
decision. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right about the investment manager, because all that really it's just a committee member that's the first point of contact
Yeah.
for the to summarize, you know, to spend time watching that investment and then do a quick summary for
Yeah.
the program lead and
Yeah.
the team
Yeah.
weekly.
And so maybe just
I'll-
put this 2-3 points in here, so it's clear for everybody what the responsibilities are and or the tasks of this investment manager, and it's just an additional good information. Committee investing responsibilities, Shimmer community specific. This is basically, this was for IOTA here. Yeah. Shimmer community specific is actually just a copy of the above. Yeah. Or is there anything specific for Shimmer? No. It's just the 50%. Also
Yes, that's
here,
it.
write
Yeah.
can and basically
Yeah.
the same comments that I have put
Yep.
on top.
Yep.
Um, the complaint process, we still, yeah, we keep it in there. It's part of the first proposal. It's always when I say like, oh, complaint about what? So I actually added something, complaint for grant submissions, not
Mm.
complaint process about investing things. Yeah. Budget for 12 months. I think here I did stuff here. So here we have if we include the IOTA treasury, then it shall be this 10 Ti for the rest of this term and the following term. Yeah, 2024,
Right.
2025. Maybe it would make sense here to write exactly 31st
The date.
March 2025.
Right.
So
Right.
it's
Okay.
clearer, it's easier to understand for people.
Okay.
Did I make some comments here? Here I also said here also makes sense that we write now, because this was the original text from last year's proposal or from the initial proposal. But now we can specify this end dates, because I think when we wrote this proposal, we even didn't know when we will be able to start.
Right.
So it maybe really make sense to put this end of March in as a fixed point in time. Also, here's some wordings, because then every year there will be.
Regarding the times,
Yeah.
I wasn't able to talk before. I
Oh,
also think that it's pretty good that way to say we do second quarter to first quarter essentially, because as you say, we could, like, after the Christmas lull, we could start with putting applications up in early January, and then we would essentially get all the votes done until
yes.
early mid-March, and then you have some backup time, some time to just gracefully hand it over if there's like major changes.
Yeah.
Introduce the new people. I mean,
Yep. I think
and then,
actually.
well, on the 1st of April, without any April Fools, it's officially passed over.
Yeah. No, I also like it. I like this whole starting with Q2 thing. It's anyway a good time. Um, yeah, so really makes sense. Usually there are no big holidays in this time frame. Um, People are also not bound to be outside usually, so we usually have quite good contribution and engagement in this time, because there's nothing else to do, and people sit in front of their screens and play around with crypto. So it's a good timing, I think. Yeah. Yeah, then here we should talk about the new budget for every year. This is just some little wording details that I put in. The liquidation process, all the things is pretty nicely described. What I have here is all just grammar. Let's say it like this. Excess assets, legal entity. Also, this is merely the same thing that we already had before. And process success matrix change to the fridge. I think there is. Are we through it? No. No, we have the revision by communities, allowing community. I think that's it. You, which part you added basically the
So I added the responsibility. What was it? Contract responsibilities. So basically, it's the committee's not specific to just giving grants with no terms. Basically, we have the freedom to create terms, which could be a loan or liquidity provision, etc. And what was the other one I did? I added.
other
Let me
one.
see.
Maybe was this the stuff about the idle funds, or was this in already?
I think that was in it already. Let me.
Yeah.
Grant acceptance contract. Yeah, committee right to request. Okay, the RFP, the request for proposal.
Yeah, this was it. Yeah, the RFP thing, and the other thing was just the contract. Okay.
Yep.
I think that looks really nice. What we
Does anyone in the audience have any comments, questions, concerns? Just throwing it out there.
I actually have one more idea for the request for proposal.
Mm-hmm.
If you think feel at a time that you might be needing some, what about like just doing a public brainstorm and say, hey, what ideas do you have? What should we fund? So especially directed to smaller things like browser plug. So essentially, I mean, whatever scope you want, then just have people brainstorm and maybe like say, hey, we are giving away 5 times 50 SMR to anybody who submitted at least with one thing.
You know, that's a good point. There's nothing in here about bounties. And that could be sometimes, yeah, I think discussing that with this group in the governance group, hey, you know, we would like a bot, you know, maybe a bot to do this in our Discord channel. And then the group could say, you know, how about this much for SMR? And then we could do either an RFP or a bounty or both. I mean, I guess an RFP is a bounty if we set the price too. Yeah, so you're saying like write it in that we just come to the governance group first to kind of discuss it and have a brainstorming session. I can write something like that in there.
I mean, we just talked about it basically. This was the thing of kind of have generally involved the community in this RFP process. So basically ask first, okay, community, which RFPs do you think make sense? And then basically make a selection or a little mini vote process on it. The question was just, do we want to have it fixed in the framework? Because once you, or you could also write something like, okay, the committee is free to engage with the community about RFPs that they seem useful, something like this. Yeah. So
maybe advised or something.
Yeah,
like
I wouldn't make it.
It should be done, but it must not. But it does not
It
have to be
doesn't
done.
have to be done. Yeah. So it's a free of choice thing. We always kind of would encourage the committee to do it, but there can be certain times or certain things that just basically need to be put up for an RFP, bang, boom, and if so both options should be there. Yeah, maybe we can rephrase that a bit.
Encouraged is actually a good word for that.
Yeah, you can kind of do it or not, but of course, would be better if you, but nobody's forcing you. If you have good arguments to not do it, then also cool. Yeah, that's actually maybe it just can add that a little bit as an extra sentence in the RFP process here, JD. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I could do that.
Nicely. So actually, I think from my perspective, like I said, all my comments are basically here just grammar and wording things mostly. From my perspective, we can think about to come into this proposal process, because what we would need to do additionally to this document is we would have then to put it into a proper governance proposal. So means we will have to write an introduction, a motivation, blah, 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 our points that we have in the for the general governance process. I mean, we only would need it for phase 2, but I think we have already all the document there, so we can already start phase 1 with a proper proposal with abstract and all the stuffs there. We could maybe just basically sketch something out. Like I said, you have a really nice did you leave it in? I remember you had this really nice intro which would have been a really good fitting motivation, but I think you
It's
did.
in the. I took it out, but it's
Yeah.
in the first version.
Yeah.
So I made sure that I have it. I'm pretty positive. Yeah, it's in the first
Yeah.
version. So that I can put in the phase 1 up there, or if you want to, or whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Actually, one thing is, it has to be you or somebody else from the committee that puts this proposal forward, because basically we have the rule here that only committee members can propose changes to the framework. So actually, I wouldn't be allowed to put a proposal forward to change anything in the specification here. This is actually something we might give a
Do we want to change that?
thought. I kind of
Yeah, I don't think this is a good something good here, because I mean the proposal process is very democratic, and it also there's also no real way to abuse it other than because it would just be rejected before it's even getting through.
Yeah, because here we have
But if somebody has ideas to fix stuff, we could always and hey, maybe we say we are going to amend this into our next proposal and just say we are going to merge it together with our suggestions or something like that. I mean, you have all the opportunities, and I don't see any reason why somebody shouldn't be able to propose something.
Yeah, last year we did it here, with this, the committee members will be the only ones who can correctly identify the need for such changes. Therefore, we would limit the group of persons that can propose changes to the specification described in the document to the elected committee members of their respective communities. I think we basically did put it in last year as a kind of a security measure, that there's no stupid proposals coming in that want to change everything, while the committee, first of all, is still in the phase of figuring out how everything works. So I think, this is something we can just drop. Yeah, maybe I'll just make a comment here. So basically, and then we have here, committee members can only propose revisions to specific parts, la la la. So this is kind of drop. It's not necessary to have it in. We likely won't have proposals to overthrow the whole thing. Then we have revision by
I
community.
think, and even then, if it's actually adjusting, then there's going to be a lot of what the fuck are you doing here, and I don't think it's going to get likes.
On the other hand, it's actually also a process if there are really things that are being observed by the community. So let's say one day in a couple of years, there's a completely different committee and it kind of starts to go rogue. With this sentence, we refuse the community to adjust failures that happen, and failures in the framework. And if a committee wouldn't want to have anything changed because they kind of can take a profit from it or something, then the only option would be for the community to basically shut down the whole thing, or vote everybody out of the committee. So yeah, anyway, they would be able to stop it, but with quite harsh things, but potentially just changing a rule in the framework by the community, even if it would be against the majority will of the grant reviewers, it shouldn't be a problem. If it's the will of the community to change things, and then it should be changed. I think this was just an initial thing that we put up to give the committee room in the first couple of months or 6 months to get used to the processes and come up with their own way of working and things before everybody starts to create crazy ideas how you can do everything much better. No? But yeah, maybe we just drop that. It's like, I don't think any issue here. Cool. Yeah. So this is this. Then we could put this. Yeah, maybe JD, we will work on a little putting this into a framed, phrased proposal for phase 1. What we
my suggestion would be to kind of compile it all together, fix the issues you've pointed out, then maybe make one final document and publish it here.
Actually,
for discussing, and maybe then after the next meeting put it in.
Yeah,
this would be so we have essentially one more session here, and then if we still feel like 1 or 2 remarks that we can sneak in before, and then after the next week we are going to put it up Friday.
The only thing about that would, because we still have to do the governance as well.
Yeah.
Hey guys. So what I can do though is I can compile all these edits. I'll set it up for a phase 1 vote, but then set it for the moderators to review it, of course, before it goes live.
And we send everything then together. Yeah. What do I
I would just post it into the Discord channel once more. So
yes,
I mean, I think it's not just some small fixes. There's quite a lot of changes.
Yeah.
And I think there are some people, including myself, who'd like to review the entire thing before it goes live. Maybe there's a spelling mistake or so. It would just suck.
Yeah. I would also actually like to create a version, especially for the proposal then, that highlights only the changes. You remember, like I did this with the GitHub thing, where you see basically, okay, this was the original version, this is the new version, the additions, and this I think will be quite useful for people that say, oh no, fuck, reading this whole thing. I just want to know what they changed. This may be something useful.
Is it already in the GitHub?
No, but
because if it's in the
it can be put in GitHub, and then
maybe then put the old version up.
Yes.
And create a pull request with the new version, because then you can.
This is how I do it usually. But the problem is, only people that know GitHub will understand how to do that. So I'll probably do the work and do this screenshots from GitHub and put it up into a normal doc.
I've forked it already, so once if I do a pull request, and then we can it'll show the changes.
Yeah. But it's likely easier to have this as just like, okay, screenshots for the proposal in the forum. We shouldn't link to the commit changes on GitHub, because people will get really confused with this. If you're not a coder,
you can add.
You can add the link, but
But I would also say add pictures.
Because it's nice and it's highlighted by the colors, but people don't need to navigate through and think, oh god, if I push a button, I'll shut down the coordinator or something like this. Everything that looks like code is like big. Oh no. Yeah. So this, then we have to, like we talked about it. So for the governance framework for IOTA, we would basically, actually, One thing I was just coming. I mean, we didn't do a vote for the governance framework for Shimmer. Potentially, we could just declare that the Shimmer governance framework, all the Shimmer words changed to IOTA, is now the starting point for governance framework things for IOTA. Don't
Yeah, that's a
actually,
good point. We
I
never
don't,
did do
yeah,
the.
don't think we need a vote. We didn't do a vote for Shimmer. Um, uh, I think it makes sense because it's such a fucking long document. People will just they will
And it may
not read it.
change.
Yeah.
You know, like
Then the thing is, every changes to the document, I would always put to a governance vote. So like this thing now, because we're going to adjust some things and we're going to add the stuff for EVM governance and things like this. When we come to this point, I'll definitely run it as a governance vote because then it basically says, okay, this is the old version. These are the changes that we propose. Are you okay with the changes? And then you basically show and highlight the changes, and people can say, okay, the rest of the 64 pages I don't need to read. These are the things that they want to change. Looks okay. I understand it. Okay, I can give a vote here. Yeah. So this might make more sense that we basically start IOTA governance framework on the basis of what we have for Shimmer now, and then once we can progress and make some small and need some small changes, we will then put them up for a vote.
Perfect.
Yeah, sounds
Okay.
cool.
I will. Yeah, I will. I will try to get the screenshots from the GitHub showing the changes, and then I'll update all these edits probably today, if not finish tomorrow my time, and then put it in the group here. And then maybe if everyone's happy with it, next week I can start working on the phase 1, and then maybe next week we can, after everyone's happy with it, put it up in phase 1 and start getting community discussion about it.
It's actually good. So now, end of August, start some governance discussions again. It's time to bring it a little bit back into focus. And it's a
also
good
the
thing.
summer holidays, people are coming back from then. I mean, by then it's end of August and most.
Yes, we'll have something to talk about then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Cool. Anything else?
So
Um,
I posted into the governance discussion my suggestion for the
from last week. Yeah.
archiving and closing because I am not entirely sure where to put that. If we say this is like a moderator guidance that we keep public somewhere, so people can say, for example, "Hey, you forgot to close this," and then we can close it essentially. I also said these are not exact dates.
Yeah.
I think it's
yeah. It's hidden in the governance framework currently. So yeah, people, it's public available information what the moderators should do, but that is like somewhere on page 35 of the governance framework it's stated and not really.
I didn't have the time to really figure out and propose it properly. So I just want to discuss that quickly now and maybe by don't know, do we have changes to the governance framework as well?
We have
Or
some
is this only
small
the
some small things. I had I have a document where I did them already. There are some things
could
like
you reattach it?
yeah. There are some things like the seasons that we wanted to get rid of because we figured out, okay, we anyway don't do this seasonal vote, so it doesn't make sense really to have those seasons with the votes that we proposed. So there are some things to make it simpler. And we talked about most of them already a couple of weeks or maybe 2 months ago, I think. So I have a doc where I basically have an updated version already. It's like maybe 75% finished. All really small things, nothing major, just to put it into into the context of what we are actually really doing. And
Mhm.
then there we could add your suggestions for the moderator stuff
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, and we have one
Yeah.
update thing. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Okay. I'm quickly going through them just to discuss. So
yeah,
this
I see
is
it. Yeah.
on the governance forum. This is only affecting the proposer categories. So it's nothing to do with general governance or research.
Mm-hmm.
For phase 1 discussions, we close a post when there has been 30 days without any on-topic comments and the
Yeah.
proposal did not meet phase 2. So if people are bumping posts or like posting bullshit under it,
Yes.
then we are still going to close
Yeah.
it. It needs to be, there needs to be a discussion or somebody.
Yes. We anyway shouldn't allow all those. I mean, it was just because of Sealy, but we shouldn't allow all these.
Yeah. Yeah, I
bullshit
mean, if
comments.
somebody like pushes it, if like there's a proposal which definitely does not reach
Yeah.
the thing, and somebody just tries to keep it open as long as possible to maybe still reach the 50 votes, but it's just the community says no, then we are just going to close it anyway because it's just being held open.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, if it goes into phase 2, because then the discussion is essentially over.
Yeah. There is no discussion anymore in phase 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as soon as it goes live, I mean, then it's fixed anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we after accepting it, figure out that it does not align to the rules. If
Yes.
somebody like complains, hey, this does not meet the thing, and we should close it.
Yeah, and we missed it just in the approval process. That possible failures
Mm.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, if there's a moderator failure, then
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is going to happen much, but
Oh.
yeah, I think in most cases it will result in a new version anyway.
Yeah.
And we archive a proposal if the proposal requests it to be archived because it's maybe no longer needed, or the proposer himself realizes that this wasn't exactly a good idea, or when he publishes a new version.
A new version, and that was a really good
By the
point
same
last time. Yeah. Yeah, because this
by
is
the new
yeah.
Yeah, it must be by the same proposer.
Yes, but
that thing.
like he receives comments and suggestions and basically creates a new version with update the thing, and then the old version gets out of the way, and also especially once it's achieved, it's out of the discussion thread. So we should still link to the old one, but it doesn't need to be displayed in the official phase 1 proposal anymore, because it's kind of an outdated version, and it would just basically pollute the whole thread with different versions, and it actually could become confusing if you have 2, 3, 4 different versions of a proposal and they all follow each other, and then there maybe an old version still will receive some comments, and yes, that's a really good point to keep things in order there.
Yeah, okay. For phase 2, phase 3, and the emergency proposals, we close it essentially 2 weeks after it's over. So after 2 weeks after it goes through Firefly, or 2 weeks after it got rejected in either phase 2 or phase 3.
Yeah. Then also it's
the only question I had just came up. Essentially, people could comment in the temperature check and the vote announcement. So I thought about what if we like completely disallow comments in the phase 3 and instead link to the phase 2 and keep essentially the temperature check thing that is the central discussion point at this time for any proposal that's out of phase 1 and in phase 2 or phase 3, because also there's going to be some discussion maybe.
Yeah. In the vote announcement phase 3, I think, as far as I know, normal members have no rights to post or comment. It's only open for governance moderators, this category.
I'm going to change that.
because this is clear. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, phase 3, there is basically it's only an announcement post by the moderators that guys, vote is happening. So as far as I remember, I disabled all rights for normal members in this.
Yeah,
channel.
I just close it instantly.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
Instantly and are never archived.
Yeah.
That's also for phase 2. We don't archive there. I'm going to undo the archive moves.
But phase 1 should be it needs some cleanup from time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because anyway in phase 2
So-
there are no changes anymore, so there's also no different versions. Yeah, that makes sense.
Also, what I actually didn't forgot to type in here, I'll rename the proposal archive category to just archive.
Yeah.
And also put the election, the old applications, put them in there. So,
Yeah.
so the archive is essentially just a centralized dumpster for anything that's no longer needed.
Maybe we call it governance archive because I think we also have a research archive somewhere. Yeah.
I like that.
Mhm.
I like that. So we close posts 2 weeks after the on-chain vote. I actually thinking about this. If somebody withdraws his application, I'll just instantly send it to the archive.
Yeah. And it's not needed anymore. It doesn't need to hang around. Yeah.
So changing that. And we also archive them just before a new election is taking place to essentially free it up again.
Yes. Yeah.
So if, for example, as I said before, we start the election thingy in January, then we would over the new year, we'll just move everything to the governance archive.
Yeah.
And yeah, then it's all fresh again, and nobody reads anything that's no longer relevant because we expect that. But still, if somebody wants to copy paste his proposal, his application, then he can just do that.
Yeah.
We don't delete anything that's not against forum rules.
Yeah. Hey, actually, there was just a thought coming up for me in a moment. If we do now this, so we make the proposal for what we just created with also including the IOTA governance funds. For us all must be clear, a vote on this thing can only happen. Oh no, theoretically a vote on this thing can always happen because we have the IOTA Firefly version allows voting. We would just then have to make a hard-coded update. Okay, cool. Then all good. So it's not we don't need to wait for Stardust IOTA with the different Firefly version. We would then just have to have the Firefly team do another hard-coded phase 3 vote with the Firefly update, like we did it with the first one, with the build and burn, because the IOTA Firefly has not yet the function that everybody can just put in the proposals through the UI.
Yeah.
But that's just like a one-time where the Firefly team has then to assist us again and put the stuff in the front end. But that's just something I will coordinate with the team internally. Yeah. I'll first get it
also in. Just because I think that there's something you might have missed by creating these categories. There's like about the point category, and in this there's a post that I think it's probably automatically created, and this also determines the description of the category because you did not change it for phase 3, emergency proposal and proposal archive. Those categories do not have a description.
Is this, you mean about govern? No, there's in the categories there's an about.
Category.
Yeah, there's an about phase 3, and
that's just the default text here.
Yeah.
And I would personally say I don't think we need a vote on that. Just write something
Yeah,
up.
I just write some blah blah blah. This is blah 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 and blah. Yeah, but it's a
And
placeholder text. Yes, and this is and in phase
I've
2.
just noticed that when I was researching these things, and
Yeah.
that's just something we
Yes.
should fix.
Yeah, in
It does
phase
not look
2.
that good.
Yeah, in phase 2 I have it. In phase 3 not.
Yeah,
Actually,
I think phase 2
also
is a bit. It's also only the first paragraph, so you can
yeah.
actually control it and make it longer.
Also, just for keeping things in order, I'll also create then IOTA categories. Or do we want to have IOTA and Shimmer proposals mixed in phase 1? I actually would like to have it separated, that we have a Shimmer phase 1 discussions and IOTA phase 1 discussions, because it's kind of makes more sense.
What about we keep it separate in phase 1 but merge it in phase 2 then?
Yes.
Essentially, discussions are separated, but when it comes to
Phase 2 and phase
voting,
3,
then
yeah, because otherwise we will have so many categories and the sidebar will be very clumsy.
it's getting cluttered. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say we make phase 1 Shimmer discussions, and then maybe I mean we have it then it's SGP and IGP.
Yeah.
I mean in phase 2 we have the identifiers, and then it's clear what it is.
Yeah, we have
Let's do it
phase
like
1
that.
and we just keep the discussions separated between Shimmer and IOTA for the initial proposal, blah blah blah, and then once stuff comes to phase 2, we can have it then just polls in phase 2 with the proposals, SGP or IGP. Yeah, that's good. Then we don't need 3 extra categories. Basically just 1 or 2. That's cool. Yep. Nice.
Yeah.
Very well.
And you can also rename the archives right now. It's also something we can do immediately.
Yep.
It's under Shimmer governance proposals. It's not in the sidebar. It's too far down already.
Proposal
But
archive.
I don't know how you. There was
What we said, governance archive, yeah.
governance archive. And also change the slug.
Yep.
Because that's the short thing.
Very well.
Yeah. Good. Hey, it updates instantly. That's nice.
Yeah. No, it's actually Discourse works really well. It's still also currently it's very there's a lot of developers working on it. You have weekly, I don't know, 50 commits. Basically, I every week I update the whole thing because there's a lot of new features and fixes and things happening all the time. It's really very well taken care of, this whole thing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to write a text and implement my ideas into the framework, and then we meet again next week.
Yep.
Or you can hit me up early either in the M or in the
Once
moderator
I
group.
have stuff, I also drop it in the channel and ping.
Good.
Cool. Very well. Anybody else? Anything? Any questions? Any suggestions? Oh, JD disappeared? Dropped off?
Yeah, he dropped out a few minutes ago.
problem.
Maybe he.
He has his kids are back home from.
Okay.
They have been out of the house a couple of days, so they need the daddy. Very, very nice, my friends. Thanks, everyone. We will see us again next Thursday. We are moving in a nice direction, I think. I'm basically looking forward to have getting our hands on the IOTA tokens finally in the future and preparing everything for that. So yeah, cool. Thanks everyone for joining in. As always, I'll make a little write-up summary from the meeting posted in the governance forum. The recording will be on our YouTube playlist tomorrow morning. And anything else, we see you next Friday again, 4 p.m. CET, same time, same place. Thanks,
Not
everybody.
Friday, Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah. Ah, fuck.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.